Didn't go. Here, let me do it. Oh, there you go.
Yep. Very good. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Decentralized Masters podcast, your go-to source for everything in decentralized finance. I'm Tristan, and today I'm here with my co-host, John. We're here to guide you through the ever-changing world of DeFi, one strategy at a time. Every week, right here on the Decentralized Masters podcast, we go live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time to bring you the latest insights, updates, and tools to help you in the DeFi space. How's it going, John?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm just double checking to see if we are actually live. Yeah, it's pretty odd. On our channel is not showing up. Maybe it's lagging behind. Let's see. I have pulled up the Decentralized Masters YouTube channel on another screen.
We are live. I'm getting a fat echo.
Oh, we are? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Just wanted to double check.
On the YouTube, at least.
On my end, it doesn't go through. But anyways, guys, yeah, so doing pretty good, man. Markets are looking a lot better. Markets have been looking a lot better since these past 2 weeks. So really good things to go ahead and talk about. A little bit more of a positive mindset as opposed to, having that full, complete bear mind. I think a lot of people are going to start feeling a little bit more comfortable now making a decision on where the market's going, even though I still personally think we could still see one last correction. What are your thoughts about that? And we do see chat here on chat. So it says, okay, guys, you have me wired in. Awesome, man. Welcome in, Chad. Good to see you.
Welcome in, Chad. Good question. I kind of with you on that. We did break out of we wicked out to 97,000 this morning, which is good. But yeah, I'm of that camp that we could also see a bit of a correction. I don't think we're going to go back into the 70,000s per se, but 80, like the high 80s, I still think is on the table. But on that note, we were waiting for the clean breakout above 96, and we got it. So we'll see how sustainable that is.
Yeah, that's the biggest question. I mean, it looks like this could be their new support. So if this is their new support, we're going to have a really good, exciting time in the next coming weeks. So maybe we have rate cuts coming sooner than what we expect, right? I know you have a lot of information to cover too about economical data that was released yesterday and the next coming days. There's a lot of things actually being announced in the next 2 weeks. Alongside with stocks today, a lot of the tech sector and the NASDAQ, a lot of stocks had earning calls today, doing very well. So that's also where a lot of excitement's coming into the market. So yeah, 100% right here with Bitcoin. As we see, it looks like this could be our new support. And potentially, maybe we could probably see it go no lower than $92,000. I'm with Tristan on this one. I think worst case scenario, we could come revisit $86,000 one more time. But also keep in mind, not because we had this very quick run up, which usually we should have some sort of correction, a cool down period, so we could go ahead and reattempt a breakout. Basically, like where we're at right now, it's an area Bitcoin has been struggling. So right now, the bulls really need to go ahead and push through that, break through that. Once that is broken, I think we could definitely go ahead and start seeing that, as I mentioned, that $120,000 Bitcoin in no time. Now, typically from past markets, we always see that. We see some sort of movement to the upside. Then we see one last correction, not a big one, but a pretty decent one. And then usually the market takes off. But then scenario number 2 is we just have the markets now going parabolic. So we could be entering also a parabolic run very soon. So who knows which one it's going to be. Time's going to tell. on where the market's going. But those are really the two scenarios we have right here. We are more bullish than ever. Back here, we were at some very concerning times back in March, even early February. It was very concerning. This was very scary to be in crypto, because we just didn't know if it was going to crash. Like we didn't know if that was a bear market, So I think now we're actually in a more positive state when it comes to the market. And I think even now, we could definitely go ahead and now almost assure ourselves that we're probably not going to see Bitcoin go back to this $70,000 range ever again, at least for this bull run, right? So what are you thinking so far here, right here, Tristan, with this?
Yeah, I was just going to comment on what you're saying, that we were really fearful around the 2 weeks ago, when we were in that 70,000 kind of range before we had that inverse head and shoulders pattern there.
Yeah,
That
that was scary.
I was anxious. Not gonna lie. Like, you can go back and look at the last live recordings from there, and you can see that we're like, yeah, humming and hawing. We're like, it's hard to say where we're gonna go from here. But then, yeah, we did say that there was a inverse head and shoulders pattern that we were seeing. It could lead to a breakout, and that it
It's
did.
exactly it did, man.
Exactly,
Exactly
it did.
textbook. It's
Yeah.
insane. It's very uncommon a lot of times for these patterns to break out, but when they break out, it's really good to see, right? Usually it's not a very common thing. Usually patterns do the opposite of what we're looking for, but in this case, we broke out of this downtrend. For me personally, I'm really more focusing on this $100,000 range. That's what I want to see, Bitcoin breaking. What do you think about this, Tristan? Are you in the same boat, or do you think we're set? We're going on to the upside with no struggle.
There'll be a struggle. There's always a struggle. But we do. I am quite confident today. We had really good earnings out of the tech sector today, which was surprising. Microsoft did well, like John kind of mentioned. And I think breaking out of $96,000 today was also a big accomplishment for Bitcoin. Let's see how sustainable it is. But if we can, get it back into the 100K range, I think the 120,000 is not too far away from that.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe we could be entering that parabolic run that we all been waiting for, right? So I don't know. I'm still sticking to we're going to go ahead and see a pump. I was actually mentioning this to our private community yesterday, that in the last prior years, you could go ahead and see all the way back to 2021. Usually the market has a nice little recovery, and then it usually tops a temporary top. And then we just see the bottom coming in between August and September. So we saw that back in 2021 right here, 2022, 2023. Once again, July, market tops, bottoms, August, October. Same thing in 2024. So we're almost going on for 5 years. So the question is, will this time be different? That's the narrative. I feel like we all have this cycle. I'm sure you probably heard it a lot too. Everyone goes on with the narrative that this time is different because of Bitcoin reserves, because of institutions, all these very positive things, right? Which to me personally, I don't think it has a drastic influence to it. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of very positive news these last couple weeks. Market didn't move, stock market did very well, crypto moves. So I think, in my opinion, none of that, like Bitcoin reserves, in my opinion, really move the markets. I think that's the catalyst that everyone's waiting for. But I don't think that is the catalyst we need for these markets to move. What we need is rate cuts to happen, and we need more money flowing into the markets. That's what we need. Now, can the catalyst be like, as the bull run is now taking off, where Bitcoin reserves could be like where it gets announced and that becomes a thing? Definitely, but I'm also concerned maybe that is the top. Maybe when Bitcoin reserves get approved, that's the top for the market, and we enter a bear market, right? So as I mentioned, this is just going back all the way for the last couple of years. July has this tendency to recover, and then we even saw it right here back around this time right here in July 2024. We saw it quickly recover, go all the way up, got rejected on the resistance that it couldn't break out. Very similar kind of situation that we're in right now, and then got rejected with the flash crash. I don't think we'll have a massive flash crash like that, but I do think we could probably see one correction. And if we don't, that's even better. So I think you can't really go wrong. That is just something I'm just pointing out just to be aware of, because in the space that we're in, things and narratives change very, very quickly. So as we're positive today, you might have this as your sign to go all in, and then you go all in, and then the market corrects, right? So you have to be very, very cautious. But do you think, Tristan, that our catalyst that we need is Bitcoin reserves? Do you think that's the catalyst we need for the market to reach new all-time highs?
We don't really need catalysts. Yeah, Bitcoin has done a lot of the moving, kind of agnostically to any kind of catalyst. And in the past, catalysts like El Salvador buying Bitcoin or MicroStrategy buying Bitcoin often usually just kind of marks tops. So I think it's good for Bitcoin in the long run. Less supply, more Bitcoin being bought. It'll drive Bitcoin up long run. But it's not what we're waiting for. It'll be great news, but as you can see, like back a few weeks ago, Trump made the announcement of the strategic reserve, and that's an actual amendment in the law of the United States, saying that we will hold Bitcoin that is confiscated in criminal cases. That didn't really do anything. The downtrend continued. So I think it's really more important on A, interest rates, B, liquidity in the market.
Yeah, and that's one of the main reasons why we need rate cuts, is for that liquidity to start flowing into the markets. So that's one of the biggest things we have to go ahead and keep in mind. So markets are looking good, looking positive. Like I said, ideally, I want to see this $100,000 breakout to feel a little bit more confident that maybe we don't have this correction anymore. But either way, things are looking very, very positive. If you guys took the risk of loading up right here at the bottom, congratulations, you guys are up by a lot. So that's good on that. But let's go ahead and start off with crypto bubbles, because that's usually what we do, and I completely forgot about this. So as we see on the hourly, a little bit of red, maybe profit taking. On the daily, we do see lots and lots and lots of green. Virtual up 27%, WOW up 19%. But if we go into the weekly, look at this right here. Virtual 129, Pengu 65. A lot of tokens recovering these last couple of weeks, also due to the talk about the tariffs too. So that also made people feel a lot more confident. But just keep in mind, the reason why these markets have been moving aggressively, as Tristan just mentioned, it's just due to the whole entire structure, I guess, if you want to call it, in the economy that we're currently in. We're in a very, very sticky situation. And it's not just a US problem, it's also a global problem that everyone's dealing with. But other countries have already taken that measure to go ahead and start preventing that in the future, right? So the US is still left to go ahead and make the decision on when they're going to go ahead and start cutting rates. But as you see on the weekly, things look very good, and on the monthly, all across the board, up at least a 1x. So if you guys went ahead and bought the dip, congratulations on that. I bought a little bit of the dip. What was it, last week? I've noticed a little trend coming up. I was talking about this yesterday in one of my office hours, and I think I've talked about it on Let's Talk Crypto. But I've been mentioning that I've been noticing a traction with a lot of these lower cap tokens, the meme tokens, the narrative tokens, because AI did very well last week, like very, very well. And then that's usually like in the riskier side of things, right? Those are like lower cap, riskier speculative bets. Those are a little bit more speculative, right? So, but if you see all across the board, like a lot of these memes did very well this last week. So I'm kind of seeing a trend right now. I'm seeing a trend that we could be seeing a lot of these lower caps start to pick up. And we could start seeing a reversal. So a lot of these tokens could potentially now be at a bottom, specifically the meme coins. I think the bottom is in. If you look at a lot of the meme tokens, if I was to go ahead and pull out the chart for Pepe. Do you own any Pepe, by the way?
I own it as a joke, and
Nice.
it's not significant.
So as you see with Pepe, like this thing has taken a big, massive dip. Just like the rest of the market has, right? Pepe overall has corrected over 80%. What we're currently at right now, it's now at a 67%. But one thing that we're also seeing right here with Pepe is that we're seeing what seems to be some sort of also reversal playing out. So once we start to see this breakout on this structure with a lot of these altcoins, and I could literally pull out like 10 different charts, and they're all going to look very, very similar, if not identical. And once this breakout happens, we're going to start to see these meme tokens and these lower cap tokens. I think also just the altcoins overall, we could be starting to see that reversal coming in. But I think for the meme coins, in my opinion, the bottom is in. I think meme coins have suffered a lot. Like my portfolio on the memes have taken a big hit. Like AI tokens, AI agents, all those tokens took a very big hit. So I think, in my opinion, the bottom is in for those. Of course, not financial advice, but I have been noticing a trend of a lot of these tokens picking up in volume, right? And I was talking a little bit about this with Artemis, this platform that I was using yesterday on my office hours. And if you notice, like usually the volume, the last time we had this very high volume all over here was back in February. And currently, let me see if I can go back. I don't know what I just did. But it looks like we're slightly starting to pick up. Of course, it's not a confirmation yet, but if you go ahead and take a look at this chart right here, and this is on the DEX volume, we can see that we are now slightly trying to trend up, right? So right now we're at a 2.5 billion on the DEX volume altogether. This is measuring most Solana, Ethereum, Sui, Avalanche, Aptos. So the top ones. Not Base. I don't know why Base is not in here, but as you see, is measuring most of them, right? And this is on a 3-month period. And we see that some of them are slightly trying to go up, right? So not that it means anything, just keep your eyes out on, these speculative bets that you have, whether it's AI agents, meme tokens. We could probably be seeing a reversal coming in. I've been seeing it with a lot of the meme tokens that I've been holding. I actually loaded up a little bit on those, and I've been seeing volume come up. So just a heads up, I'm not going to go ahead and tell you what tokens those are because I do not want to go ahead and put anyone at risk. But have you been noticing that trend, Tristan? Like, do you think, have you noticed a lot of these lower cap tokens starting to pick up in volume?
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're rotating into an old narrative as well. I'll get into it later in my presentation here. But we are rotating into an old narrative that we were in February, back before that we had this drop in the market. And there's some tokens, especially like AI agents, that have been making a resurgence here, which I didn't think was going to happen so quickly. Thought we would,
Yeah.
go to the Solanas and the Bitcoin and the Ethereum layer ones before we got into these low caps, but that's not actually what's happening.
Yeah. And it's a pretty typical behavior. I was talking about this yesterday on office hours, and it's a pretty typical behavior for meme coins to usually start to do very well during this time. A lot of very top meme coins were created around this time. Shiba was around like July when it launched. Pepe was launched in 20, I believe, April 20th, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of the very successful meme coins are usually around this time frame when the market is somewhat positive, but not really, right? We do need Bitcoin, of course, to lead the market. But once Bitcoin finds that top, let's just call it's $120,000. That's when we're going to start seeing this massive altcoin season that everyone talks about, where things go parabolic, right? So that's what we're waiting for Bitcoin, but a lot of very positive news. I'm going to go ahead and touch on this very quickly because I think Tristan has some really good, important stuff to talk about. But Morgan Stanley is now looking to go ahead and offer crypto to their E-Trade customers. Once again, we're seeing more institutional interest coming in. It's going to be a lot easier for retail to provide more liquidity into the market. So very, very good there. Another thing right here, of course, Bitcoin went ahead and hit $97,000, which is really, really big. But this one I really wanted to talk about. So 21 shares files for SUI ETF and the token surges. SUI is a token, in my opinion, that has a lot of upside potential still. And I think it's going to do very, very well once we start to see these lower caps start to pick up. I'm very positive also on the SUI meme coin kind of side of things. Because I also noticed SUI has like some AI agents, which keep in mind, guys, AI agents are basically like meme coins in crypto. They're just basically just disguised with this fancy word to make you think it has utility, which they do. Some of them do, but they're basically meme coins. I've been seeing that a lot with SUI too. Like there's a lot of those kind of tokens on there. And SUI also has a growing community on NFTs and also meme coins. And the reason why I talk about meme coins is because Solana became very popular and grew because of meme coins, right? So we could also be seeing this shift and growth into SUI. So keep your eyes out on SUI. I think you can't go wrong being at least exposed to the blockchain because there's also a lot of DeFi opportunities. But what are your thoughts about this, Tristan? ETF.
Yeah, I think SUI, like what you're saying, SUI is a pretty great blockchain. It goes along with that kind of Solana narrative, very fast, very efficient. And it's performed marvelously in the last month as well. The whole SUI ecosystem, so that SUI, Walrus, what's some AlphaFi, what's else, Cetus, all those tokens have been performing very well. So I'm quite bullish on SUI. Follow them on Twitter; they're very active. And for the ETF, also looking forward to that. I'm actually going to talk about later today another ETF that 21
Nice.
bringing up as well.
And let's see right here. As I mentioned, NASDAQ did very well, or the tech sector did very well with earning calls today. So I think there's quite a few earning calls by the end of this week and also coming in next week. So maybe a lot of positive news. We'll see, but markets are looking very positive overall. Now, just to quickly take a look at where the NASDAQ is currently at right now. We could go ahead and see right here that the NASDAQ is very close to breaking out of this resistance. So we're almost very, very, very close here. And once we do see that breakout, that's going to be a confirmation that the downtrend we're finally out of this downtrend. Now, one thing I've kind of noticed is this could be potentially forming another inverse head and shoulders. And the only reason why I say that is because this is a resistance zone. We'll see how this breaks through, but as you see right here for the NASDAQ, it looks like our bottom is in for the market. So looks like crypto bottom is in. Looks like the NASDAQ bottom is also in. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of volatility, slight corrections here and there, but I think overall, with that fear that we once had these last couple of weeks and months, I think we're way out of that now. I think there's more positive than negative to talk about here. Charts are looking good. Markets are looking good. I think there's a lot more positivity here to really talk about, but that's pretty much it on my end. As I mentioned, I didn't have really much to talk about. As far as with the news, there wasn't really anything that I came across that was too impressive besides what I shared. And the charts, of course, as I mentioned, I want to see more data before we start going forward. It's really simple. We just need to see that breakout and hold at least his $93,000 range, and then start breaking out of 100, and then we could go ahead and see where this is really going. But this is a very strong resistance for Bitcoin, so that's kind of the reason why I'm not touching too much on it. But it looks like we could be now forming a support, which is really, really good. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and make the shift over to Tristan. But do you have any other last things to talk about here, Tristan, with this chart before I pull it out?
I think we've covered it pretty well here.
Okay,
The
all
one
yours.
thing I'll start with here, though, and I'll get your opinion on it, is let's share my screen. Just take a quick look at the fear and greed index in crypto. We are neutral at the moment. We were just a few weeks ago, or at the beginning of this month, we were at extreme fear. Things were not looking good. Uh, but now, yeah, we've done a quick bounce back up. We haven't really hit that greed level yet, but still quite neutral. And isn't that
Yeah.
what you were saying in the beginning? You were just like, everyone's kind of in a wait and see kind of mode. We're not as scared as we were a few weeks ago, but we're not exactly happy yet either, right?
Yeah, I think right now we're at a point where a lot of people got really shaken out these last couple weeks. So that really shook out a lot of people out of the market and caused a lot of panic and fear. And to be completely honest, there's probably a lot of people that sold. And right now, with what we're seeing in the market, they're just not reacting to this just yet, which is usually positive because that usually means they're not really paying too much attention to this. This could be a potential possibility to be positioning yourself, repositioning yourself. But I do think that we are going to be seeing more upside coming up in the next coming months moving forward.
Yeah, I hope so as well. I think we touched neutral. I think we're more likely to go back up into greed than anything. But yeah, that's kind of just what I was seeing in the fear and greed chart. Important to check that once in a while as well. So welcome to the show. Today, we're going to start with some U.S. GDP numbers and job data that came out. The U.S. economy actually has slowed for Q1 due to tariffs and reduced government spending. Reduced government spending could be, you could point the finger at Doge, for example. A lot of layoffs have also happened within the federal government at the moment. So a lot of spending has come down from the U.S. Federal government, as well as we were at a 2.8% growth estimate for 2025. That has been revised down to a 0.8 growth estimate, which is quite the revision. And when compared to over the long term, where 2% is kind of an average, we dropped the whole 2% just in the last quarter. So that's actually bigger news than it might seem. We had weak employment numbers as well. And that, like I said, that one's probably coming a little bit more from the Federal Reserve. A, less federal employees. B, less Federal Reserve spending. That means less money is going to companies within the economy. Therefore, less employees are often needed. So we are seeing some fears about a recession coming later in 2025. When this announcement actually went out yesterday, Bitcoin did a quick drop to 92,000, but was actually quickly bought back up. We were finishing the day around 94. And that just goes to show that regardless of the data that is coming out, it's kind of like a good news is bad news situation where, yes, this is not great news. The economy is slowing down. Not good. We're losing jobs. But that means that it is much more likely that we might get a rate cut coming because the Federal Reserve has two mandates. One being employment numbers. So they have a mandate to keep growing amount of jobs in the United States. And the other mandate is to keep inflation in line. We had in the last inflation reading, lower inflation, I think we're at like 2.4% inflation. I can't recall off the top of my head, but we had a lower number than expected. And now that we're losing jobs, both of the Fed mandates are pointing to a rate cut. At the moment, it doesn't look like we're going to get one for May, but potentially June. John, any thoughts on that rate cut? Are we looking at the
Yeah,
rate
I
cut?
mean, we talked a little bit about this yesterday and we mentioned it too. I agree with you. It's like a good thing and a bad thing. A rate cuts, what we're all waiting for and cheering for. But rate cuts are also bad because once rate cuts start to get implemented, basically means that we're in fear, or if you want to call it caution, into entering a recession. And that's why they're now integrating, if you want to call it, rate cuts in order to fully prevent that, right? So it's very positive, but it's also very bad. Rate cuts are good because that's going to go ahead and get everyone excitement going on. It's not going to happen, of course, right away, but there's going to be more money also coming into the market. People are going to be able to borrow at a lower rate. So there's going to be more people that are cash ready to start making those transactions. But also rate cuts mean that we are in a really bad position. So good for us, the investors and traders, if you want to say. Anyone exposed to any growing asset, whether that's gold, silver, real estate, cryptocurrencies, stock market, certain businesses, they're going to do very, very well. They're going to thrive during this time. But there's also going to be more hurting over on the economy than actual good, right? So yeah, that's where I kind of I'm at when it comes to this, and it's positive, but it's bad. But for us, is very positive. So I think rate cuts are definitely going to go ahead and push the market, and I agree with you too. I don't believe we're going to see rate cuts on May. Maybe it's a surprise, man.
Oh, the market would absolutely
Go
freak out if it
parabolic.
was. It would go nuts if there was a rate cut right
Yeah.
now.
We got to also
Yeah,
keep that in mind. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's also always a possibility. We
yeah,
don't know. This market's been full of surprises lately.
yeah. Maybe Jay Powell will pull a fast one on us. Totally possible. Also, in some other news today, switching over off the economy onto something more crypto specific, we had a very important meeting of the Ethereum Foundation, and they have outlined the important, I guess you could say, topics that they want to cover with Ethereum in 2025. One of those is improving transaction speeds. So, if you've used the Ethereum blockchain, if you're watching this, you've probably used Ethereum blockchain at some point. You know that it's a little bit slower. When you use Arbitrum, Solana, or Sui, your transactions are usually done within 20 to 30 seconds. Ethereum, though, can take up to a minute, maybe a minute and a half. But one of the important, I guess you could say, improvements that they're looking to make is that they want 12-second block times on the Ethereum chain. And you may have noticed that gas fees on Ethereum have also come down a lot as well. So it is the old dinosaur that Ethereum has been largely improving over time. They're also going to look at enhancing privacy and security features within the blockchain. And Vitalik is also going to look at improving Ethereum's social layer. So that's including more governance. So when what that means is a lot of token holders of governance tokens, for example, Uniswap, they have a say in what the blockchain does and what they do through a voting system. Very common. I think Helium has that as well. So that's a common way for a lot of decentralized decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs, do a lot of their decision making. And they're also going to look towards open source funding, which is interesting. As you can see here in this chart in the bottom right hand corner, this is the amount of active addresses or new addresses on the Ethereum blockchain. As you can see, we are at a very new all-time high. So people are using Ethereum, and it is growing considerably. Although the price hasn't reflected this, Ethereum hasn't been a great performer in 2025 or 2024 compared to Bitcoin, at least. But it's still a nod that Ethereum isn't going anywhere. It is still 55% of the crypto market, and is quite solid. So safe bet with ETH. And also some more news here. We have another look at Mantra. So this is something, if this is your first time watching the podcast that John and I have talked about, Mantra or OM it did have a flash crash. So we were at about 7 USD just a few weeks ago. Now we're closer to 48 cents, as you can see in my chart here. So there was a flash crash, and basically what happened was a lot of people were using their OM tokens as leverage on exchanges. Someone made a big sell position, and then it was a cascading effect of liquidations and other people selling as Montra token tanked. It dropped into the low below $1 kind of range, and it has not recovered. Why we're bringing it up again, though, is because yesterday Mantra published its latest update since this crash, claiming that the incident is bigger than just Mantra, that this is a crypto-wide specific problem. They are blaming essentially exchanges for and market makers for having this predatory kind of, as you could say, I don't know, structuring, where these cascading sell-offs can happen. I myself, I wouldn't be blaming, if I was in Mantra shoes, I wouldn't be blaming the entire industry. I fear that maybe figure that if they're making deals with exchanges, maybe they don't want to use their token for leverage, or maybe not everyone, you should be able to use 100% of your token for leverage, or there should be a different system for that. So I wouldn't be out blaming the entire crypto industry. But yeah, not a great situation. Still following it though, because it is interesting and it does get views. But yeah, not something I'm looking at getting in at the moment. John, you got any opinions on the
Yeah,
mantra at the
I
moment?
just find it kind of funny, man. To be completely honest, seems like he's just trying to look for someone to blame and point their fingers at and say, hey, it's all you. But if you also look at Mantra, like when Mantra went ahead and took off and entered those very high levels, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about when it enters some pretty high levels. It was also caused by short squeezes and leverage, and you didn't hear any complaining then. So it's always going to be like when things go south or the opposite. There's always going to be pointing fingers. I mean, honestly, I think it would be best if they would just take on full on responsibility and then just move on, as opposed to looking for an excuse and someone to blame to go ahead and put that into, right. Also, keep in mind in crypto, we all know these risks are always, very, very possible. So always be aware of that. But yeah, I find it kind of funny. We'll see where things go with this moving forward.
Oh yeah, we'll keep you guys updated on how this whole mantra saga
I
goes.
do want
But
to ask you something though. Do you think
Hmm.
this kind of crushed like the real world assets? Because like Mantra was like the leading one, man. If you really think about it, Mantra was like the one that was like really pushing and leading real world assets.
Yeah, it was, and it's disappointing, and I think that has kind of killed the pardon for my Gen Z lingo, but has killed the vibes around real world assets, where no one really, all the narrative has now moved elsewhere. People are looking at AI again, and no one's really taking a look at real world assets again. So I do think it
Yeah.
took a lot of hot air out of the narrative, which is disappointing because I'm really bullish on real world assets.
Yeah, and I think with the I don't know what happened to my camera. My camera just crashed like usual. But
Oh,
I'm
good.
going to try to get that fixed. But I also wanted to mention like the thing that also we have to keep in mind, and I know I kind of brush it to the side, but Mantra was like a top 20 token too. So like they
Hmm.
had a lot of liquidity. It was a big market cap token. So I'm sure a lot of people got wrecked. And that's probably the reason why right now we're also not seeing the markets really go crazy just yet, because we've seen this multiple times, and I think a lot of people just have lost hope now, and also lost a lot of money, so they don't even have money to probably buy the dip. And I think this is actually a bigger problem that we make it to seem, because it was a top 20 token, right? I think it was top 20. I for sure it was top 50. I can
Hmm.
say that. So Mantra was up there. So we'll see where things go moving forward. But yeah, pretty exciting, I guess.
Yeah, it'll keep us busy. We'll follow the saga. As I mentioned earlier, when John was saying that we were looking at a SUI ETF brought by 21 Shares, 21 Shares also brought an application for a Doge ETF. So this is currently the third Doge ETF that is in the works. Other companies like Bitwise and Grayscale have already created applications for Dogecoin ETFs and are waiting just now for SEC approval. Not something I'll be adding to my brokerage portfolio, but good nonetheless. I'm sure a lot of Dogecoin holders out there are happy. Yeah, not something I'm doing though. Arizona. Now we move stateside. The Arizona House passed two bills enabling this state to establish a Bitcoin asset reserve. One of these bills allows the state to invest up to 10% of public funds in Bitcoin and other currencies. I actually kind of think that we'll see states as individuals buying Bitcoin before we see any Bitcoin purchases at the federal level. Perhaps because there was a lot of commotion when the strategic reserve was announced, that people are mad that their tax dollars were going to buying Bitcoin. I know your tax dollars are going to worse things than buying Bitcoin, but I can see the point. Some people would, rather that tax dollar going to debt payments, which is a lot more important. So that kind of leads me to believe that the states have a lot more flexibility on where they can spend their money. There's also several states that don't have that actually have positive debt to GDP ratios. So, or they're making more money than they have debt. So they have a little bit more flexibility on where they're putting their funds. That kind of leads me to believe that states maybe like Arizona will be more will beat the federal government to actually buying Bitcoin. And once one state does it, you might get that cascading kind of effect taking hold. So looking towards Arizona to see if anything happens there. We talked briefly about this in the beginning. We were saying that is Bitcoin going to fall? We wanted to see us break out of that 96,000 level, which we did. We're at 97,000 or just shy of it currently. I got Bitcoin on the watch. But once we get out of this 97,000, over 100,000 is another resistance for us. But once we're over 100,000, I think 120, very possible. But once again, we could be having a bit of a pullback first. Also, in other news, Nexo, popular exchange, used to be in the United States back in 2022, but due to kind of a rough regulatory environment back then, they decided to leave. It is still one of the biggest centralized exchanges operating out of Europe. And I've spoken about it a few times here before because they have really nice interest yielding products. For example, I've talked about PaxG a lot and how you can actually get PaxG yield through a liquidity pool in some place. But you could also get interest on PaxG through Nexo's platform. So as far as centralized exchanges go, very exciting that it's coming back to the United States now. Their Nexo token has also, so they have a native Nexo token, and that has also been performing quite well this month on the news of it coming back. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. Unfortunately, Nexo is still not available in Canada, so I am kind of locked out for now unless I'm using my VPN. But yeah, it's some good news, and it's another good exchange to look at if you're having issues with Coinbase or something. Because I know a lot of our members often, they'll start with Coinbase and then they move to a different exchange down the road. So Nexo, it's something you can consider. Nexo, John, you ever used it? Ever heard of it?
Never have, man. But that hefty fee of 45 million's crazy.
Yeah, so that would drive me leave it. That would make me leave the country as well. Yeah, that's good. That's good news, though. It just means that we're going into a more generally friendly regulatory environment in the
Also,
US.
SoFi too. I forgot to mention SoFi is also going to be integrating their crypto services back again. So this is very positive because that's going to make it very easy for retail to start getting in. So very positive news.
Yeah, we're getting positive news all over the place. I guess it's just new rules, new leaders, better environment, make crypto great again. So let's go to AI. as I was saying when we were talking about RWAs with Mantra going down, that it seems like the narrative has moved away from real world assets and it's going back to AI. And you can see this with a lot of the projects out there. For example, virtual up 100, almost up 200% this month. It was like up 180% when we were looking at crypto bubbles. Absolutely incredible performance. Other AI projects like Tau up 57% this month. Render also up 30%. Fartcoin, although not exactly an AI project, still somewhat considered an AI project by Cointelegraph. Open also up almost 200% just in the month of April. So we're seeing a bit of a rotation in what that hot ball of money in crypto is getting into. Seems like we're kind of performing, kind of moving back to AI. Out of the top 10 AI tokens on Cointelegraph, there was an average performance of 26.5% in the month of April. So that kind of leads me to believe that we might be going back into an AI narrative. So, how do you invest in an AI narrative? Before I dive deep into this, I'm going to ask John, what AI tokens are you holding?
None in particular, but I would say the ones that I'd keep my eye on would be AI. What is that? 16Z. I
Oh
think that's
yeah,
a token.
yep.
Keep your eyes on that one. Virtuals. That's the one I've been eyeing for a while. And then there's another AI agent that's pretty popular. I think you share it here if I'm not mistaken. But I think AI 16Z. Keep your eyes on that, and keep your eyes on a lot of the AI agents. I think right now with what we're seeing, I think this is where the mantra thing also paints a picture. It kind of reassures everyone that, like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't go for utility. Let's just go for what's fun and what makes sense, right? And I think that's like where we're also shifting to, and that's why we're seeing a lot of not only growth on AI because of the excitement and the hype behind it, but also right now we're going to see a lot of people transitioning more into these AI tokens. We're going to see a lot of other meme tokens go on. So I would say any AI agent that you're currently looking at, I think having exposure to that is really good in my opinion. Of course, the blue chip, I guess if you want to call it, out of all of them would be virtuals, but AI 16Z, not financial advice. I'm not holding on to any, but I think that one is going to do very, very well. So yeah, we'll see where the narrative goes, but it's kind of clear that the narrative is shifting. So I think a lot of people, and that's what I forgot to mention, the whole entire thing with Mantra, it kind of shook a lot of people. They're like, you know what? Maybe we don't go to utility anymore. Let's just stick to what we like: meme coins and speculative industries, right? So
Mhm.
I think we're going to see a lot of that, and I think you can't go wrong with all these tokens right here that you shared. Of course, there's a lot of very positive blue chips like ICP, Render, and all of those. But AI agents, have some exposure to that if you want to have some volatility. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we go through this, I'll show you where the AI 16Z falls out in this crypto AI crypto narrative. So to start, what can you do? The best way to do this is just if you don't already have exposure, have some Ethereum, have some Solana, have some Sui. Have those big blockchains. All these AI projects are probably going to be built on one of them. If it's not Ethereum, it'll be something else. So those projects as will receive a lot more usage as AI projects are being developed. So that's kind of a general way to have some exposure to AI just by owning the layer ones. A more precise or a little bit more kind of infrastructure kind of play is investing in things like Render or ICP. These are supplying the infrastructure for AI projects. For example, AI Render does GPU rendering. So what Render does is people have GPUs in their computers, and then they can commit their rendering power to a network, which is Render, and then they all share in the rewards of whenever someone wants to do some rendering. And whenever an AI has to make an image or something, it's doing rendering. So render has a clear motive to see, well, it will be a clear benefactor of success in AI and new AI projects, as well as ICP. ICP isn't really about GPUs though. It's more about the actual hosting, so kind of more like website hosting. So that's kind of like the infrastructure layer. So you got the base layer here. That's your L1s. You got the infrastructure layer. That could be like render. This is also a quite important layer here, data and indexing. So the AI does have to get its data from somewhere. So here are two crypto projects that also provide the data for AI, the Graph and Ocean Protocol. They provide data for AI systems. And the next level up would be AI agent platforms. So this is where virtual protocol falls in. If you thought about it, you can think about it like this: that base layer, the pyramid, where Ethereum, Solana, that's the ground. Everything is built on the ground. You could say that render is like the power lines, and they're going to go power these projects. You could say that virtual is like the factory that actually produces the AI agents, that is drawing power from render, which is on the ground is Solana. And then we move up from the factories like virtual into the actual use cases. So one of these use cases could be decentralized AI marketplaces. So that's where you would see tokens like Numerai, which is an AI-driven financial prediction platform. You could see use cases where there are networks. So that's where that's where Tau falls. What Tau does is it's teaching AIs to talk to each other to create better. The AIs talk to each other through Tau to create better AIs. Kind of scary that AIs are improving other AIs. That's some Terminator. That's some Terminator stuff. But that's another use case that we'll see. And then at the top of the pyramid, you got the agents. So that is AI16Z and AI-XBT. AI-XBT, great person to follow or bot to follow on Twitter. Always posting the token tidbits. And it's crazy because that's not an actual person. That is an AI posting on Twitter. Yes, that is a utility, but also on the same token, it's like a glorified meme coin, like John was saying. Not a huge utility there, but I guess you could say it does have something. So AI agents themselves, that's the top of the pyramid. That's where all the hype is going to be. Those are where the fun things are for people. So a lot of money is going to find itself up there. But that's also your most speculative, most risky part of the pyramid. Whereas if you are down investing in the base infrastructure and data layers of this pyramid, those are kind of more of a long-term successful kind of hold. But you have options to make money throughout this whole AI investing pyramid here. John, what layer do you think is going to be like the most successful? Do you agree with
For
that? AI
sure,
agent?
AI agents. For sure, AI agents.
Yeah.
But I think being exposed to all the layers, like you just mentioned, having a little bit of choosing one or two tokens out of these layers that you talked about, I personally think you can't go wrong with it. But of course, the ones that are really going to outperform the market are going to be the AI agents, which are basically the AI meme coins. Those are going to do very, very well, in my opinion, compared to the rest. They're going to get traction, but nothing compared to AI agents. It's just the hype's there, man. Look at that AI XPT. Like, it's a purple frog, man. Like, it kind of almost makes you want to buy it.
I myself quite I'm interested in the purple frog myself. He does for being an AI, he does post really good information on Twitter, or I must admit, that is he's got the good news. Hype is going to be up there, but
Is
yeah,
that what he is?
you got to be careful.
Is that what he is? Social media agent?
He's literally a Twitter bot. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Of course, right? Like, why would anything with like real utility actually get all the hype? It's always going to be
Yeah, it's
But
always going to be the
the
fun
funny
stuff. It's
thing,
always going to be the fun things, the things that get people excited. Let's be completely honest. Like crypto could be very fun for you, or it could also be very boring. I'm sure Tristan and I, this fascinates us, but for other people, like I don't care about any of this. And that's just the reality. That's how most people are. Like you don't really care about any of this. So they're going to go ahead and pivot more to the fun things, the hype things, the things that are making more sense, the ones where you go on TikTok and you see, oh, turn 1 penny into, $4,000. These are going to be the tokens. These are going to be the tokens that
yeah,
are going to be like that. So
yeah,
I think that's where the excitement's going to go.
yeah, I think so as well. Whether that's for good or bad, it's hard to say. But as long as if this narrative moves and shifts to the AI from real world assets, which we're already kind of seeing, I think AI agents and that meme kind of narrative will be coming back because it was only a few months ago that the narrative was there. Maybe it was like
Yeah, it
for
was like
five.
November,
Yeah,
November, November. Things really took off was like January, February, and that was the
yeah.
top.
Yeah, that was when
That
we
was
were
the
talking
top.
about AI meme coins. Yeah, that was the top.
But that's the thing, though. Like right now, these are all down 80%.
Hmm.
This is the
This is as
time.
quiet as it gets.
Oops, I don't know why Siri's listening to me. But
See,
this
of
is
course.
this is the time when you start buying these kind of tokens because the problem is everyone gets into these trends once they've already taken off, and that's why
Yeah,
a lot of people buy the tops. Because unfortunately, you have to get into projects when people do not believe in them, when people are not talking about them. Those are the times you want to start positioning yourself. By the time the token's taking off, the people that were willing to take on that risk early on and were betting on themselves, they're the ones that are taking profits on you buying into the market. So unfortunately, that's how almost basically anything when it comes to any kind of financial instrument, if you want to call it, like stocks is almost very similar. They don't
hmm
run up as crazy as crypto does, but same thing with XRP. Like XRP is a perfect example. I was talking about XRP since July. I was telling everyone like I don't like XRP. I think it's overhyped, but I believe it's going to do very, very well. And if you want to have that exposure, look into XLM. Everyone laughed at XRP. It was a dinosaur token. Da 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 da. XRP did very well. Everyone got excited, went back into XRP. So you want to get into these things and be able to identify these trends early on before they start taking off. Because by the time you start hearing about them, it's already too late. And honestly, the only way you could go ahead and really get a feeling to that is by spending time in the market. The more time you spend in the market, the more time you spend listening to podcasts like ours, joining certain groups, putting yourself out there when it comes to crypto, you're going to start to see trends start to pick up. And those, like I mentioned, for me, I was so against the AI agents. Even mentioned this to like Tristan. I was like, I think it's too late for me. I'm not going to join. I'm glad I didn't because I was a top. Now, if you ask me, John, will you touch AI agents? Heck yes. Because the
Now they're
bottom
interesting.
it's down 80 to 90%. You know what I mean? That's where everyone's fearful at those times. And that's the time you want to consider positioning yourselves. So yeah, I'm looking at a few of these AI agents. If you want to stay away from the high risk, I would recommend the other ones that Tristan mentioned. But even if you're not a risk taker, I would say even have a little bit of an AI token. Just choose one. Have a little bit, $500. See how it does. I don't think you could go wrong with at least having one meme coin. Because believe me or not, meme coins are going to do very, very well this cycle. And I know the narrative has been always looked down against, but it's very clear what people prefer to buy, right? So I think you can go wrong buying at least one meme coin. I would suggest blue chips. That would be Dogecoin, Shiba, Pepe. Those top blue chip tokens, meme coins that you can find on Coinbase, and the rest be blue chips, like really good utility tokens. And I think you're going to do very, very well when it comes to having a diversified portfolio like that. But yeah, AI agents is what I'm looking at right now, man. I think that's going to be the next trend once again.
Yeah, I was honestly, I was looking towards gaming. I was hoping gaming would be the next trend, but it seems that AI has stolen the show again.
Maybe we're a little too early for gaming.
Maybe I haven't seen like a good gaming project. This could
Off
be
the
outside
Grid,
the block.
man. Off the Grid is a
No,
good game. I was playing it.
I want one with the new AI features though. So I haven't seen
Uh,
like a good AI integration into a game yet.
yeah.
Maybe because I'm a bit of a dinosaur, haven't played a
They're
game in a
saying
while,
GT.
but
They're saying GTA. What is it? 5 or 6? The new one
six.
that's coming out. It's supposed
Yeah.
to be having this cryptocurrencies also involved. So I think a lot of good positive things. I think gaming also we could be seeing that pivot sometime very soon. I mean, we saw it with Counter Strike. Counter Strike's already kind of doing that.
Mhm.
There's like a huge. I'm not sure if you ever play the game Counter Strike, but there's a lot of people too that like go ahead and spend their real money on these like weapons, on character weapons, and they're worth like 20, 30, $50,000. And people buy like these little boxes where like basically crates, where it's almost like gambling basically, and it automatically disposes a new item, right? And those items you can resell them in the market. So we're already seeing certain platforms like that that are now integrating that, and I think in the future we could go ahead and see that moving forward. I don't know why everyone's calling me right now.
Well, I do like the ringtone at least. That's a good ringtone. Um, yeah, is there anything else you want to cover today, John?
That's it for me, man. There's not really much. I would just say keep your eyes open on a lot of the tokens you've been considering buying. I think the bottom's already in. Of course, confirmation is needed, but I would just say keep your eyes glued onto tokens that you've been considering. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I would just say wait for confirmation before you start getting aggressive. I still have money sitting on the side before I start getting aggressive. But I have been buying a dip these last couple of days. So just be aware of that. I think we could be seeing a nice little pump in the next coming weeks as well.
All right, I'm good with that. I'll take her from here. Thanks for tuning in everyone to this week's episode. I hope you're walking away with some clear strategies and insights to push your DeFi journey forward. Remember, DeFi is evolving fast, and staying ahead means taking action with the right knowledge. If you're ready to dive even deeper and want a roadmap to build your own DeFi success, check out the DeFi Masterclass. The link is in the description below. In the training, you'll receive clear hands-on strategies to maximize returns, manage risk, and truly make the most of what DeFi has to offer right from our CEO, Tan, as well as the other mentors such as myself and DeFi John. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss next week's live episode. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you here next time right on Decentralized Masters.
Later, everyone.
See you, everybody.